Welcome, everybody, to Intuitive Guidance with Tor Niamo. I welcome you to this installment where I'm going to try something new, which I haven't experimented with before. And I've got the lovely Claire here with me who agreed to do this with me. She is a fellow tarot reader. I actually don't know much about Claire aside from that she is a fellow tarot reader. So don't get into your brains that Tor knows too much about this client without giving her a biased reading. Stuff will come up anyways. So what we are going to do today is that I am going to share with you, and she's so kindly done this, agreed with me that I can record my reading with her. So what I'll do is, in a moment, I will just pull some cards and begin with an open reading and just allow it to unfold from there. Claire, throughout, will obviously be more than welcome to ask questions if you want to. But we've agreed that this is just going to be an open reading and seeing what shows up as a part of that. Claire told me a tiny bit about her reading approach, and it sounded like she had such a loving and compassionate approach to how she works with her clients. Claire, is there anything you'd like to say before we head in?
First of all, Tor, thank you so much for inviting me today. It's wonderful to be part of what you're expanding into. So thank you. I'm just really looking forward to having my cards read for a change. I very much enjoy the intuitive aspect of reading for people.
Mhm.
Not kind of having anything set in mind, but just seeing where the cards take us. I think that's
Yeah.
always a wonderful way.
Yeah. Do you give yourself readings?
I tend not to use
Mm.
tarot too much, but oracle
Mm.
cards are kind of my
Okay.
go-to for personal work. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, how come? Just out of curiosity, like,
Yeah, well, I have several different oracle decks, some which are quite, strong and bold, and then some that are quite gentle. So depending on how fierce I'm feeling or how calm I'm feeling, just depending on my mood. Yeah.
but like, how come you're using Oracle instead of Tarot for personal work? Like, what's your reasoning behind that?
I just like to not fall into a trap of turning a card, turning a
Oh, it's
card,
so easy,
turning a
isn't it?
card. Absolutely, yeah. But with oracle readings, you can just draw a couple of cards and then be drawn into the symbolism that might come up. Which, as a
Mm.
tarot reader for over 20 years, we can kind of get focused on what we see in tarot cards, but
Mm.
the oracle cards can be slightly more open.
They can be slightly much more open to
Yeah,
interpretation. That is
yeah.
too true. I do occasionally pull cards for myself, but and I do trust my intuition very well. But I have two friends where I send them a picture of the cards. I'm like, what do you get here? Just to like double check that I'm not sort of my ego isn't too much in place. And it's so interesting. I don't have a strong negativity bias, but my negativity bias is much stronger when it comes to reading tarot for myself. Whilst my friends usually has a much more positive outlook on what it is that I pulled, basically. Okay, I think we should just head in. And I always say this with every client that I give a reading. Anything I say today is obviously just advice and guidance. The future is not set in stone, and you still have to make your own decisions. Because that's also something which is always really important for me when working with clients is that they're still individuals with their own agency and their own ability to make choices for their life, regardless of whatever the tarot is potentially suggesting. The tarot, just as a brief introduction, has 78 cards. Each card has a picture. Historically, each card has been assigned a meaning, and I do, of course, work with those pictures and meanings, but I also just work with what I intuitively pick up in the moment. And as Claire can attest to, every tarot reader reads the cards in different ways. And
Definitely.
even if you get five different decks, five different pamphlets, 5 different interpretations of the cards, you know. So you really have to get in tune with your own deck. So I'm just going to pull 4 cards and then we will see what shows up. Okay, Claire.
Okay, I'm ready.
I think this is very interesting and suitable, I suppose, as we are coming towards the end of the year. Just as there's a very, very interesting shift of energy within this spread, and I'll tell you what the cards are in a moment. But just as a, you know, as an immediate look over that spread, it seems to me that perhaps for a while, the energy around you in your mind, in your energy, in your sense of soul has felt perhaps a tiny bit blocked or stagnant, and it just doesn't feel like anything has been moving and like the energy just hasn't been shifting basically. However, I think very soon, and I'm thinking it looks like to me that over the next 2 months, that energy is, and it might have already begun, is that this energy is very much going to change in a positive way. And the reason why I'm starting here is because, so the first card that I have pulled for you was the Page of Wands reversed, right? And to me, the Page of Wands upright is the birthplace of new ideas, of just sitting and pondering and envisioning and not really thinking too much about what's going to come of it. It is just sitting in that sort of brainstormy kind of place of figuring out where am I going to take my work, my vision, my life next. I often interpret ones as like projects, which obviously could be hobbies, but also more career led. And the reason why I thought that something that you have been working on, a project, potentially something which has a layer of creativity to it, is the Two of Swords, which also was reversed. And as you can see, she has those two swords over her arm. She's got the band over her head. And again, with it being reversed, that tells me, in combination with the Page of Wands, that perhaps there has been an energy which has been like mentally blocked. You've been like overthinking it. You've been like, oh, spending too much up here. But actually, with the two of swords and the two of wands, which is the next card coming up, right? So the two of wands upright comes after the two of swords reversed, which then tells me that something that you've been working on, like a piece of the puzzle, is soon going to come into place, basically. And you might have felt this shift already, but if you haven't, it is certainly coming. And I feel that the impact of this is going to be bigger than you had imagined. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the last card of this pull is Judgment upright, right? And to me, judgment often, not always, sometimes it is just judgment, but often it's also reinvention, transformation. And what this tells me is that perhaps something within your work life, you've been trying to shift it for quite some time, perhaps even expanding your own practice, but you just haven't been able, like it just has, like it's gone a bit slower than you had hoped for, basically. Um, but what this tells me is that it is going to expand, it's coming, but it's probably going to require you to maybe rebrand some of your offerings, talk about them in a different ways. which then becomes more palatable to people who are not readers, you know. Um, is that something that you've been working on?
Absolutely 100%. Honestly, as you were drawing those cards and when you started talking about it, I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So before we came onto this call, I kind of had a thought in my mind about my own spiritual path.
Mm,
The page of one's reversed. So I started earlier this year a course. I had in
mm,
mind to do perhaps 3 or 4 courses this year. I'm so far into my second course, which is about spiritual guidance counselling skills.
mm,
And I've got a bit stuck, a bit
mm,
overwhelmed, a bit like, I can't do this, rabbit in a headlights kind of feeling.
mm,
And that's so when I saw the two swords reversed, I was just like, I got goosebumps. I thought,
mm,
yeah, that's me. So, yeah, I think I actually sat down this morning and I thought to myself, you know what, Claire, you've got to get your act together and get through this course because next year, this is like the time frame. So next year, I want to make sure that I've got everything together to
mm.
go forward and offer my services. So that was
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. Thank
And that
you.
is precisely, I mean, that is
Yeah,
exactly what these cards are
yeah,
speaking to, you know,
yeah.
because what you were starting, the courses, it's new ideas, it's new beginnings, like it's starting, but it's feeling a bit like that. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, the two of swords will be all about that. It's you're being too much in your head about it, and you're kind of blocking yourself. The blockage is imaginary because you're feeling overwhelmed, and
Yeah.
the two of wands is all about planning, strategizing, not necessarily taking any big actions immediately. It's just getting
No.
ready, right?
Yeah.
And starting to look towards the horizon of what is it out there that exists that you can do. And I suppose what was coming to me though with the judgment card, which is of course that reinvention, that restart, that starting again. And I think for you, it's all about, I think what's going to be really important for the success of what you're working on. And and I mean, this is something that all quote unquote spiritual people struggle with is how do we make it not palatable, but how do we make it sound like something that people need in their day to day, right? Because we
Absolutely.
can go into the all the esoteric language of spirituality without necessarily hitting the mark with what it is that people actually need and want, right? And so I think that's going to be your main challenge. But I think also with the judgment card being upright and you're sort of allowing that reincarnation to happen, you will very much be able to do it. It's just, I think that's kind of the main thing to be, yeah, I think that's the main thing to be mindful of or thoughtful of as you strategize around working on that project moving forward, basically. And I know that you're wearing yellow, but it's even just as we were like talking earlier and so on and so forth, there was just a beautiful like yellow glow around you. There's also, but more like golden than yellow in a way. I also think that your throat chakra is probably much more well developed than you give yourself credit for, right? I can sense that there is some hesitation, right? There is some imposter syndrome, like, am I really good enough to do this? And
Absolutely.
and yes, you are. That's also what I was feeling. Like the yellow and the blue is so strong. It's just, or the golden and the blue is so strong. It's just much more about you stepping into whatever that is for you, basically. You know. And I think that, yeah, and I mean, it's like I wonder if there's some questions around like energy and health and like being able to take on all of this. And I think that those are totally fair sort of thoughts to put through your mind. but also to not allow them to become something that's going to, yeah, stop you from taking yourself into this next phase, you know. And I think that as you align with what feels purposeful to you, that will also be easier to deal with,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think with the judgment card, it's about not judging
Yeah.
myself as well, not being too, because I'm passionate about what I do, I
Hmm.
enjoy what I do, I want to share it with other people.
Yeah.
But if I stop being so hard on myself, I can't do
Mm.
this. Well, actually, yes, I can do this. So
Mm.
yeah, it's
Mm.
beautiful,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely.
And it looks like you're wearing just the right colors, right? Because I can see the yellow and I can see the green, and then of course yellow is confidence and self-worth and purpose, and the green is all about love and compassion and balance, right? And being a part of um, expressing that. I think another thing though, with your personality being somebody who's very caring and loving and open, is also then how do you protect your space and also protect your energy in a way which is like kind and considerate to yourself, but also to your clients.
Definitely.
Is there any specific questions that you'd like me to pull some cards on?
I don't think there is. That has just completely summed it up about, as I say, when I sat here this morning and I was like, oh, where am I going? Where am I taking this? I've got this wonderful course in front of me that it's opened up so many, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know this. And it's just that like the page of wands, if the page of wands is upright, that childlike awe and
Mm.
wonder at what's in front of you. So to have these cards come out, it just clarifies for me that, yeah, everything I was thinking today, it's just come out. It's just there on the table. So
It
that's
has,
wonderful. Thank you.
yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, this is often how the tarot works, though, right? And how
Yes.
guidance work is that the guides will guide us to pull the cards that can either confirm or not confirm something that's already going on in your life, right? And just give you a sense of that. Yes, I am on the right direction. I am on the right path,
Yeah,
right? And I'm doing the
definitely.
right things. And it sounds to me that you are very much on the right path. It is just about um, not getting like obviously it's like managing your feelings of overwhelm, creating a plan, allowing that transformation of judgment to come about, and also not being too judgmental towards yourself.
Yeah,
I think that's very
definitely.
much what's showing up in the card here. I'm going to pull two more, and
Okay.
then we'll leave it at that. How does that sound?
Wonderful.
This is
Thank
a
you.
final message to leave you with, and see what shows up.
Thank you.
That's so interesting because I was like, I wonder if there's a. Before I pulled them, I just had a sort of sincere feeling of. I was like, I think there's going to be an emotion card coming up next. And there was an emotion card that comes up next. I mean, there was a bit of both, but the
Yeah.
first card, so there is something going on in your emotional landscape. So I pulled the Knight of Cups reversed. And Knight of Cups is, at least in my experience, obviously it can be a man or a woman, doesn't matter, but it is all about love, right? And I think what that tells me is that there is something in your heart space, perhaps with a loved one or a partner or somebody who's close to you, where recently there's like been a challenge, and I think that that's something that has to be well, you don't have to do anything if you don't want to, but but there is something there that needs attention. I think as human beings, we have a sincere ability to just push things underneath the carpet and try to forget about it. And I think that in this instance, it's really important that yeah, you address it because I also it's connected with your career. it is connected with your career and how sort of finances and everything else is going to move forward, basically. Because the second card that I pulled was the Queen of Pentacles reversed, and that is obviously you. So I think that what this message is all about, it is about your financial independence as you move forward. And but I think that the way to obviously get these two cards to become upright is that this challenge, sort of emotional challenge here, it is probably something internal, but it's also something external with another person, that this has to be worked through together as a partnership, basically. And then both of them will move from being a blockage to something that becomes liberating, basically. And so, yeah, I think that's also something to be, yeah, mindful of moving forward. How does
Yeah.
that sound to you?
Wow. Okay. Without going too deep into it, I
Sure.
feel like I've had to put on a suit of armor
Mm,
emotionally. Uh, I've got a family member who's poorly,
mm,
and I want to be strong for them.
mm,
And I actually thought to myself, how can I move forward spiritually when I feel a bit broken inside?
mm,
Trying to hold it in, trying
mm,
to, keep it together. And then the Queen of Pentacles. I would love to be financially independent to provide for my family. That is
mm.
like the goal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And believing that I can, definitely.
Yeah, no, I think, and that's what
Yeah.
she is showing you, that there is an opportunity for, right? I suppose it's like my friend always tells me, Tor, we are in the ones and cups business. And when you are in the ones and cups business, you have to be mindful about how much you can take on, right? And so I think that's also perhaps what these two cards are speaking together. For you to have the surplus energy to build your financial independence, which will come in the future, you have to be mindful about how much you give to everybody else. I think that's what it's gone, which is
Definitely.
it's a real challenge because we want to be there for everybody.
Yes.
Sometimes we cannot.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for trusting me in holding this space for you and being
Thank
open
you.
and vulnerable and sharing this time. I really appreciate it. And to everybody who listened in, thank you so much for listening. And we hope that you enjoyed that. Claire is also a tarot reader. And so if you feel drawn to her, I would highly recommend booking in a reading with her. Or if you want to come to me for a reading, you can obviously find all the details of both of us in the description below this video. And if you find it interesting, hit that like button, subscribe button, and we'll see you here next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.